Yeah, it's just a minute left, so it doesn't matter.
All right.
Hi.
You were saying?
Never get to go.
We are good to go. We started a little early. Actually, we started a little late because the countdown timer didn't start.
Right.
So I was like, we'll just go ahead and get going.
Glitch in the matrix.
Don't want to make you wait too long.
That's right.
Hey, I'm Aaron Tuttle.
Jody Tuttle.
And we're here.
We're here to do another broadcast. Our bi-weekly broadcast. Our live. To bring you real estate knowledge.
That's right. Real estate roundup is why we're here. We're talking about the latest
right.
in real estate. That's going to help you out. Just kind of give you an idea of what's happening with the market and the home situation. So if you're looking for buy or sell a home, we've got you covered.
Yes, absolutely we do.
And always feel free to leave comments, suggestions. If you have a question during the live broadcast, even if it's not what the actual topic is, that's fine. Just drop it in there, and then we'll answer it for you. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get started. Tonight's topic, by the way, is what really is a home?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. We had this little discussion today because I'm a little... I'm a little irked. Remember, I'm an outsider coming in, and I see things I don't like, and then we talk about it. And I'm sure you might have some of the same questions and concerns. So, hey, it helps to kind of balance, the thing out.
Yes.
Next thing is NAR. There was a big update we talked about in one of our prior shows a few months back.
Yes.
So August 17th is the deadline. Some big changes coming. So if you're going to be in the market, or if you know of someone in the market coming up here soon, this is going to affect them. So you want to make sure you stay tuned for that. And then finally, little tip or two for the first-time home buyers.
Yes.
In this market, because it turns out first-time home buyers are about 30% of the action right now in home sales.
Yeah, and that's gone up.
Yeah. So that's some good news there. All right.
It's great news.
First thing, like you like to do,
take a look outside.
You want to see the sunset, don't you?
Sure.
It's a little dusty, a little hazy. Got a little dust out there in the atmosphere this time around.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at that. But look how pretty that is.
It is. That makes a pretty sunsets, though.
Wow.
It's almost like we're living on Mars.
Yeah.
But not. So anyway, so you go. Hope you guys are going to have a great evening out there. The last, not like today, but earlier in the week, those evenings and over the weekend, man, they were so nice.
Yeah, not today.
All right, let's take a look here at the latest mortgage trending news here.
Yeah, look at that.
So the rates have changed again.
Yeah,
they change daily.
Under 7%. That's what matters.
Yeah, 6.9.
Yeah.
Earlier, they got pretty close to 6.5, or just a little above that at one point. There was a little excitement there.
I know.
I don't know what happened in the market that made that happen, but it was temporary. It's back up to 6.9. They've gone up a little.
Yeah.
And then long term.
Yeah.
What did you find out?
Long term?
Yeah, for the rest of the year.
Oh, well, while we're hoping that there's going to be a rate cut come September, there usually is right around election time. However, it's looking a little bleak. So, I mean, nobody really knows what's happening yet.
Right, but the
rates are going to stay.
Yeah, consensus was
around 6-8.
We'll be in the sixes.
Sixes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And upper sixes?
Yeah, upper sixes.
Mid sixes, maybe?
I don't know. Okay. It depends if they do a rate cut. With the election year.
Yeah. And some people are saying the rate cut's already baked in. So if that's the case, then
right.
Don't expect a whole lot of movement, bottom line.
And 2025 is, I guess, when they're going to be looking at, just under, 6.5 in around there.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about movement here in the greater Oklahoma City metro area.
Last 7 days. So new listings in the last 7 days, 524 came to market. 383 have sold and 478 went pending, so they had contracts written on them. Mm-hmm. But 533 had price decreases.
That's huge.
And even the expired 32 and 55 withdrawn. So, you combine that number, that's quite a bit.
Right.
So it's more than we're used to, but that's just the way the market is. Mm-hmm. It's just the way it is.
In the past, you could argue to get a little more of a higher number.
Yeah.
Because we were in a different market then.
Right.
We have not been in that market for a long time, and for this year, from the spring transition to summer, it completely. If it was even on the border of it, it went completely the other way around. So it's more of a buyer's market, as in other words, the seller, you're going to need to drop, the lofty price tag you have in your head, and go with what the market is telling you your home is worth, not what you are or what your neighbor says it is. It doesn't really matter. All that would have worked a couple years ago, but we're not a couple years ago anymore. So you're going to have to adjust if you want to sell the home.
If you want to sell it, you have to price it for today's market value.
Right. And we found out in our last broadcast a couple weeks ago, you should check that one out. It was really good information.
Yes.
That, and not only homes are sitting longer, but on average, you had to have at least 10 people to look at the home to get to the pending table.
Right.
So, if you only have 3 or 4 that are interested, the statistics, the numbers say you're not selling your home.
Right.
Right. Now, where that can come in your favor, if only 2 or 3 are interested, is because you've got that price very, very favorable, and the other 7 don't get a chance because the first 2 snag it up.
Well, you're priced to sell today.
Because you're priced to sell today. You're not priced to sell a week from now or a month from now or after you get 10 people. You're priced for the first person.
That's right.
That's a big difference. That's a motivating factor.
Well, and that's why you hire real estate agents like us to come in and price your house accordingly.
Yeah.
And we work with you
That's
when we
correct.
do that. Mm-hmm.
And you can always go to teamtotalrealty.com at any point in time, and
Absolutely.
you can put any address in there, including yours.
Yeah.
You can put in your neighbors, anywhere you're wanting to move to.
Yeah.
It'll kick back a lot of good, helpful information for you. It's got some tips in there for thinking about selling, or if you want to purchase, about getting pre-approved.
We got our blogs in there.
Valuable information, for the blogs and our trusted service providers and those people that we've vetted that we don't mind you doing business with because they're good people.
Yes.
And we said, hey, can we put you on our site? We like you.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, you know what? Let's do it.
And it's everything real estate related. I mean, even if within your home, if your HVAC system goes down, or with all the storms we've been having, you need someone to come look at your roof. We've got those partners.
That's right.
Ferguson Roof Systems is
we got to thank Ferguson Roof Systems for sponsoring this broadcast. Jamie Ferguson's been awesome. I've known him for years.
Yes.
And it's hard to get a 5-star rating anywhere, especially in the roofing business. And he's got it, and for good reason.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah,
we love those
exactly.
dudes. Ferguson's are some good people. Okay.
That's right.
So let's talk about today's topic. So we're going to have the roadmap here, and we're going to have a house hunting checklist. So before we do that real quick, you and I had this conversation about what is a home.
Yes.
And part of what irked me as I got over, and we may be guilty of this because we talk about it, and the problem is because we are programmed to talk about it. And that's fine if you want to get programmed early on and you fall for it. But once you start using your critical brain analysis and you start thinking things, you start seeing a bigger picture.
Right.
Something doesn't set well, you got to talk about it, right? You got to think it through. So, and it's funny is in the real estate world, everything up through COVID and then a little after was fine to think this way. What recently happened last year is to say, you know what? Maybe that's not the way you should be thinking.
Right.
So what is a home? Well, in the real estate world, in anything you read online, they're going to tell you it's an investment, right? They're going to tell you it's the best investment you could ever have.
We watch forced savings.
And we watch these guys online. They're showing the graphs, they're going up every year, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought, you know what? I don't like that. And I'll tell you why. When you buy a car, is that considered an investment? How many of you would raise your hand and go, yeah, that's an investment? Nobody's going to raise their hand and say that's an investment.
Right.
Unless you're buying a classic car for the sake of, for that thing. But for the 99.9% of us, it's a means to an end. In other words, it's a means to go point A to point B, to run your errands, to go to the grocery store, to meet up with your friends.
That's right.
Now, can you not have a car and still do all that? Well, in Oklahoma, it's not so easy. Right. Other parts of the country, you can get away with it if they have the transportation to do so.
Right.
But really, all you're doing is you're still buying a car. You're just buying someone else's car in the form of a bus, transit ticket, or a subway, or whatever. You're still paying out that money.
Sure.
So the point is, you still have to have that transportation. It's a means to an end. All right. So that's how you look at a vehicle. Now, a home really is no different, and I'll tell you why. Think back 1,000 years ago. You want to go back how far back you want to go? Doesn't matter. Digging in caves to get a hole. What were those? Those were shelters.
Yes.
Right? So that was a place to seek refuge. It was a place to protect you from the elements. It was a place where you can sleep for the night. You can put your little cubs in there, your little babies, and you can raise a family.
Yes. Somehow
we perverted that intrinsic basic mindset into, nope, this is cash money. Cash money. Your home is cash money. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm not exactly so sure that's a really good, healthy way to view this. I said, it's a dwelling. It has always been a dwelling. And I don't know what era it changed from dwelling to look at this as money, an investment. Because I think what happens is then you lose sight of what the real properties of it are, the intrinsic properties, and now it's no longer a means to an end. It's no longer for shelter. It's no longer to provide for your family. It's no longer to have a place in your bubble to turn out from the outside world, to relax, and to, surround yourself with whatever you like to make yourself,
yes,
sane,
yes,
and feel
That's
good.
right.
And somehow we position from that into, this has got to be worth this amount in this year, and I can take the equity out of it, and I can do this. And you've changed your mindset of what this is. So in other words, you're looking at it as a temporary place until you on to the next one, so that you can then make money, flip it yourself basically, and then go to the next and the next. And I don't think that's a good mindset to have. You have to go back to the basics. So that's the discussion that we had earlier today, because you've been in this again more than 15, 16 years, and so ever since you guys started it, they didn't harp on the fact that, hey, it's a dwelling, it's a place to call home, literally.
Right.
And so when you do that, you lose sight of the big picture. So I want to go back to the big picture of what that really is and means.
Yes.
Because we've talked about, too, the equity, right? So I'm going to break down what that really means. So in the equity world, you are building up some, as long as the economy, and everything's great, which is out of your control, yes, the price of that home increases over time. Therefore, you have this, in theory, equity you can take out versus what you put in. All right, well, here's the problem with that. You're trapped with that equity. In other words, it's not real. If you try to take it out, what are you going to do with it? Well, one, there's only two ways to tap into that equity and actually make it of value. One is you retire into a retirement community. In other words, you're done with homes, you sell your home, everything got in there, all that equity, and you go and you spend it to retirement village where you're not buying a home anymore. Technically, you're buying their home, leasing it, renting it, so to speak, until you're out. Right. Second thing is renting. Say you don't want to own a home ever again, and you want to rent. Okay, you've got all that equity to spend to do that renting. Correct. That's it. You can't sell your home, take what was left, and then go and buy a home of equal or greater value with that equity. You can't do it in this market. You'll end up buying less than what you currently have, just because the way interest rates are and the way homes have priced. Right. So it's a loss. It's like the car. The minute you drive it off the lot, you're done. The minute you put a for sale sign up here, you've lost. Okay, so that's one way to look at it. Now you say, well, I can use the equity for loans, or maybe I want to buy that car and I don't have the cash up front
to consolidate debt.
Yeah,
and to go ahead and buy that car cash.
And that's fine too. Great. But here's the problem: once you do that, this equity that you've had in there is now back to the full price that you paid to this home, to which now you are stuck in, meaning. This is going to force you to say, okay, I can take that equity out and put that on those two things, but I'm in this home until I'm gone, right? And when you go to sell it, guess what? You've already took out all your equity, so you've got no equity left. So that eliminates option 1 and 2, which was the retirement home and or renting for life from here on out. So that is where you could say this mythical equity is somewhat there, but not really. Depends on what your goals is. So to eliminate all that, I kind of like the idea of just, let's go back to what a dwelling is.
Right.
Let's make it your dwelling. Pick the home that you want to raise your family in, the neighborhood you want to live in, the close proximity to whatever. And then if things happen outside of your control, fine. That is what it is. But at least you've got the proper healthy mindset of what it is that you're doing.
Yes.
And so that when it does come to buying that home, that's how you look at it.
Yeah.
And if you can't afford that home at that time, that's fine. In this market, trust me, it's tough. And the numbers say it. There's not a whole lot of people out there because the numbers are tough right now. And it's the same idea I was telling you of when you're a college kid and you got to school and you want to buy a new car. Do you walk up to the Lamborghini dealer and say, I want that $1.5 million Lambo? Like, no, man. You're buying the $20,000 Yugo, because you'll get there one day if that's your dream or whatever. But you got to live within your means. Yes. Same thing with a home ownership, And so, no, if you can't afford the $500,000, 2,000 square foot house that's out there right now with all the pretty granite countertops and the amenities that you like. It's fine. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
No.
Wait. Wait till down the road till later when you've got the funding to do so. Don't make yourself house poor.
Right.
As they say.
That's right.
So anyway, that was one of the things we wanted to touch base on before we kind of move on, just so that I want to present more of a healthy view of this market and where we're at and what that means, because it's so much dollars, and it to me in financing, it's just irritating to me on the real estate side of how we're supposed to present that information, and it doesn't jive with me. So.
Right.
All right, so number 2, NAR. You got some big news there.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's been in the news quite a bit lately. So August 17th is our proposed date that we're to make changes. So if you're a buyer out there, if you're a seller out there, there's going to be, especially for the buyers, I mean, it's going to be changing. There's going to be forms now that you got to sign. Before we can even, go and show you a home, you can phone us up and say, hey, I saw the house on 123 Easy Street. I really want to go see it. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you and I have to have a discussion first. So we're going to go have a meeting, whether it's at our office or at a coffee shop, and we're got form paperwork to discuss, which I think is, I'm old school, so I would prefer to do that anyways. I'd prefer to meet my buyers, have that discussion, find out exactly what your needs, your wants are, find out more about you, and you can find out more about me and see if we're going to be a good fit. But yeah, we got proposed paperwork. So, I mean, we got a buyer broker service agreement that's going to be starting. And then whether or not you just want to see a single property, we still have to have you sign, it's a 2-page form for a single property. So there's...
Let me say that first one again. All right, so...
That one's 4 pages.
She didn't get into the details, but just to let you know, the bottom line is you're not going to get in to see a property anywhere unless you sign the agreement.
The buyer, yes.
AKA the contract.
Yes.
And this is to protect the real estate person and you legally from anything and everything that could happen.
Right.
And all that was kind of turned, it's like looked the other way in this business for some reason. Now, when I joined in with Jody to do this, I'm like, I'm not comfortable with that. The second thing that I didn't like, and because of my other business, I do retainers. All right? Lawyers, attorneys, they do retainers. Yeah. Why? Because how many people decide they want to hire you? You start to get to work on it, and they change their mind, they ghost you.
Right.
No one's working for free. Right?
Right.
Unfortunately, we've talked about this before. Realtors work for free all the time.
Every day we wake up unemployed.
which is very irritating to me. Yeah. So, and I told her, I said, look, our time is just as valuable as theirs are.
Well, absolutely.
If they're not going to respect us, that's a problem.
Yes.
So where do you put the respect? You put the respect on the dotted line.
Yes.
And so we brought this up to within our internal community.
Yeah.
These people, boy, you should have seen the pushback. And the point that I brought up was retainer.
Yeah.
I think that's important. It doesn't have to be a lot of money, but it needs to be something that it'll never cover, the expense of your time and gas and all that kind of stuff. But it is at least something that puts a bit more pressure on that relationship to go forward with it versus just being aloof and no big deal. I didn't sign this deal, so I'm not out any money if I ghost my realtor right out of the gate.
Right.
So that won't happen. So in other words, we we've talked about doing the retainer fee just to solidify that relationship, and you have to do it now. So, we were ahead of the curve in our thought process, but the point is to protect everybody because there's a lot of other things in here that protects you as well. So that's just become a little bit more formal, and more standardized.
Right. So look for those changes coming out. Anytime now. I started in the industry doing those buyer brokerage agreement forms back in Canada. And I was quite surprised that they weren't actually legislative here, but they're here now.
Oh yeah.
So, and if you're currently already working with an agent, real estate agent, and it's August 17th, they're going to be presenting that form to you, even though you've already been working with them and you haven't bought something. So.
Yeah, and that's what Evan was asking.
Right, so it's all brokerages, all real estate agents across the U.S. It's everywhere.
Yeah. And like I said, there was some people that didn't want to do this because they're nervous, right? Because the problem is they didn't know how to describe what their worth is. Right. Sometimes it's difficult for people to say, hey, this is what I'm worth and this is why.
Yes.
It's a conversation they're not comfortable having.
Yeah.
And this forces them that they have to have it now.
Right, exactly.
So they have to tell you what you're getting. And there may be a lot of different options on the table. Like, in other words, fee for service. There may be hourly. There may be
I'll unlock the door.
Yeah, like little a la carte type services that will add up to could be far more than what would have been if you just did a flat fee commission. So all those type of things are negotiable. You can talk to your realtor about them. Just be prepared. There's not going to be a one size fits all anymore.
No.
There's going to be a lot of options that can be talked about. So that was one of the big changes coming up August 17th. That's going to be forced on everybody. So that's a good question, Evan. So I appreciate that. So yes, it definitely be all realtors.
Evan also is asking, what do you see for the market in the next 2 years? Well, I wish I had a crystal ball. It's like you with the weather.
So I told her, I said, look, everybody first off is going to wait till the politics settle down to find out who's in charge and what cuts are going to be made and then what's going to be done for the housing market. So everybody's going to be in a wait and see attitude, which is normal. I mean, that's where I'm at. I mean, we talked about selling our house and moving. I'm like, no way in this market. I'm just going to wait and see.
Yes.
And if it turns out things get worse and worse and worse, well, fine. It is what it is. But if it doesn't, well, guess what? Waiting a little while didn't hurt us.
Right. Okay. So I'd like to add to that.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So I mean, the forecasters, meaning Realtor.com, Redfin, Zillow. There's a few others that do forecasts to see where the market's going to be heading, and right now they're sort of all leaning towards. At one point, they were all going to be into the 5s. That's what they were predicting. And if any agent had said we're going to be in the 5s in this year, oh, they're dead wrong. I bet you they're eating their words now. And especially for those ones that said marry the house, date the rate, marry the house. And they just got in, and there hasn't been any rate decreases.
No.
So what I see happening for next year, and from what a lot of the lead economists that I follow are saying, that it's going to be, still in the 6s. Mm-hmm. Still, the rates will still be in the 6s. And you know what? If you can afford to get into a house, do it, because you know what? When that rate starts dropping, what's going to happen? There's going to be an influx of buyers. And with the houses that we do have on the market, what's going to happen when you got an influx of buyers looking at properties and there's not a lot of homes on the market? It's going to drive the prices up, and you're going to have to deal with competition. So if you can afford it, get in now.
Yeah.
Before it gets to that, and have your selection of the homes that's available. That's my thought.
Sure. I mean, everybody's in their own unique situation.
Absolutely.
The other thing about the NAR for we'll move on to our last topic is the buyer's tips, but the sellers, in other words, they will not be paying the commission for the buyer's
Well, they have that option.
Agent.
It's always been optional, and it's still going to be optional. If they still want to pay that percentage, whatever they feel comfortable paying, then so be it. But that's also what we're going to be negotiating now with our buyers.
Because that was the whole basis of the NAR settlement.
Right.
The sellers felt obligated. It's kind of like they weren't given a choice
but they
were
always
paying 5 or 6%, whatever the commission rate was. It split between the buyer's agent and the seller's agent.
But they always had a choice. It's just that they never felt they did.
Well, probably because of the way it's presented by unscrupulous realtors.
Well.
Yeah,
I know.
And industry standards and practices. Remember, I'm coming out new coming into this, so I don't have this prior brainwashing and propaganda of what realtors should do and not do. So I don't know what's been done in this industry for the last 20, 30 years.
Right. The rate has always been negotiable. It's always been.
Well, as long as obviously, here's the deal. You say that, but clearly that wasn't communicated and wasn't felt, or there wouldn't have been a class action lawsuit.
Right.
And honestly, I'm with the class action lawsuit on this. I think any realtor that forced a seller to pay the commission to the buyer's agent and misrepresented that was garbage. And I'll tell you why. The basic premise is because you're now forcing the seller to pay for the opposition to bet against you.
Right.
So if I say I want my house, I'm going to sell my house for $500,000, and the opposition, who I'm paying, says, well, no, we'll give you $400. I'm like, whoa, what's this negotiation business? I'm already paying you. Just it's $500. Take it or leave it, buddy.
That's right.
So, it was a weird thing anyway. So it needed to be redone. And I guess it was just too entrenched and muddy and murky to deal with it. So they just kicked the can down the road for so long until that finally came up, and there it is. So those are the two main issues in the NAR settlement. There's probably some other minor things in there.
And and it's still not settled.
Right.
So it still hasn't been settled.
Well,
this is
settled
what they're
or not,
proposing to be done. So
August 17th is the
August
action
17th.
date.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the last.
Yes. So just about first-time home buyers.
Yeah, so real quick, and this can mean not just first time. This first graphic is pretty much for any buyer.
Well, I mean, if you haven't been in the market for quite a few years, right, this is a good refresher. So I always like to have, I have a little questionnaire available for my home buyers. So when I meet with you, I'm going to have a little sheet, and I'm just going to go and tick off. What are your needs and wants? How many bedrooms do you need? What area? Are schools important? Do you need a double car garage, triple car garage? You want a fenced backyard? You want to have property? So there's going to be, a few questions that I'd like to, it's fact finding.
But basically this is a like, you have this on like a dislike, a like, and a love. Right. So thumbs down, thumbs up, and I really love it. And you go through the check mark. This is to make sure that we have the same house and we're on the same page with what you like and what we're looking for you.
Because remember, we're matchmakers.
Yeah, we're working for you. So the more you tell us, the better off the results are going to be and what we're looking at. So we're not wasting everybody's time.
That's right.
So exterior condition, floor plan, kitchen, family area, dining area.
How many bedrooms, bathrooms?
Laundry room. Garage.
How
big the lot is. How much you want to mow.
Yeah.
How big that lot is.
You want a storm shelter?
Yeah.
Do you want a pool?
Kitchen appliances, you want the latest and
security
greatest.
System. Yeah. So it's just a basic question.
Fireplace, indoor, outdoor. Some people don't like the inserts. Some people like old school brick.
Yeah.
It all depends.
Yeah, that's right.
Pool or no pool,
Covered patio, uncovered patio.
Yeah. And
you want to be on a corner lot. You want to be on a cul-de-sac.
Notes about the neighborhood, nearby schools.
Yeah.
What do you want to be close to?
That's right.
Like one of the things that's a highlight for our neighborhood is we're pretty close to the highway, so we can jump on and get off, right? So we don't have to drive 15 miles and stop and go traffic at a stop sign just to get to the highway, just to get on our way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, but that might not bother you. So it just kind of depends. Everybody's got their own needs. Okay, let's go to the roadmap, and then we're going to wrap this up.
That's right. So ideally, your first step would be, I always like to say, meet with your lender. Find out where your lender, find out where you're standing. What are you pre-qualified for? What can you afford for a home given, your bills that you currently have?
Mm-hmm. Zoom in so we can read this one.
Right.
So that's when you start. That's the first block. Start
that's
with the real estate professional.
I always say you meet with your lender first, and then you're going to meet with us. Meet with your real estate professional.
Well, you know what? You can consider this a meeting such as a phone call, right? Or even a Zoom. It doesn't have to be like in person, but because you have to have an initial conversation to set up with the lender. So there's kind
for
of
the lender, yes.
Yeah, so you kind of have to.
But for us, we have to meet in person because we've got forms to sign now.
But the initial contact, you can kind of word that differently, unless you've already got a lender.
Yeah.
Before you reach out to your.
That's right.
But most people don't. So that's
everything's online nowadays. They just send you a link and they'll get you to qualify over online.
That's right. Okay, Buyer's Advantage.
Yeah, and then we have a Buyer's Advantage program that we like to set you up on, and by you filling out that form is sort of what, but what we can gauge for what we're going to look for in our program that we have.
And that's when you discuss the commission, which is how much you'd pay your agent for working for you. Because again, if the seller is not offering that percent compensation, you will need to come up with a difference, right? So obviously nobody can work for free and still keep the lights on and put food on the tables of the little mouths. So there is going to be a transaction there for finances. All right, get pre-approved, back to the lender.
Right. So I always put that, I would say get pre-approved first.
Okay. And then search for homes.
Search for homes.
Fun part.
So you're going to find homes that you like given by the home search that we have set up for you, the Home Advantage program. They're going to get emailed to you directly. We've also got our own app, so we'd set you up on our mobile app, and you can favorite. We can communicate back and forth that way.
Man, I tell you what, since the internet has been here and this integration of apps on your phone,
It's great.
The process is so much easier. You can weed out so much nonsense that you don't want.
Yes.
And you can look at the photos and say, you know what, that home's garbage.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time to go look at it because I already know it doesn't meet the 10 criteria that I want.
But a lot of times the photos look great until you actually get inside the house.
That's the bait and switch.
I'm a big component to actually looking at the house in person.
Well, yeah, but that's the bait and switch, though. You have to get through at least the first initial aesthetics online.
Yes.
But just be prepared that those photos typically are glossied up.
Well, we always take the best photos, don't we?
Yeah, that's true. They're all filtered. They're all Instagram filtered.
That's right.
Okay, so now let's go to follow the yellow brick road here.
Yeah.
And then we're going this way.
Yeah. So attending
showings.
the home showings. So, we set up the appointments. You let us know when it works for you. We always have that discussion ahead of time now. Mm-hmm. When are you available to see homes? So then we make the initial contact with the other agent, and they talk with their homeowners at the time.
If you like it, make an offer.
If you like it, make an offer. Don't hesitate.
It's a quick process, too. I mean, once you're ready.
It can be.
I mean, because we find the agent, because remember, agents work 24/7.
Right.
Even if they're in Honolulu, they're answering that phone.
Right.
And they do it all electronically over their phone or iPad
Yes.
or tablet or whatever.
That's right.
So it can go pretty quick.
Yeah.
All right, negotiate.
So then we negotiate and write up the contract for you. Mm-hmm. So then we go into the negotiation process. We don't make any decisions without your go-ahead.
Right.
You have the final say. So we discuss whatever I discuss with the other agent has to be conveyed over to you as well.
Okay, contract?
The contract, yeah. So we go over the contract. We get you to sign the contract, initial the contract. Mm-hmm.
And explains all of your rights. This is where if you have little details such as you want to leave the appliances, right?
Well, what
in
you
the
want
contract. You're putting little addendums or little notes in there as part of the offer?
Sure, yes. I mean, some folks like to have, they like the patio set that's outside. I'd really like to have that. So I can write that in the contract.
Mm-hmm. All right, contract under escrow.
So you've come to a decision, you've both negotiated, everybody's happy. So then it's under contract now, which means it's gone pending in the system. And then it goes into escrow because then you have to put in that amount, that fee, that deposit.
So unless the home contract falls through for legal reasons, the escrow is there.
Yeah.
It's locked in. Okay,
Right.
Let's go to final details.
Final details. Well, then we're going to do the appraisal gets done, the home inspection, termite inspection, and whatever else kind of inspection. If there's a pool, the pool inspector, whatever.
And then we prepare for closing.
Right.
Finalize the loan.
Right. You're going to make sure you have home insurance in place, get quotes, different quotes for home insurance. And then you're going to finalize the loan with your lender. They're going to stay in communication with you the whole time. The title company is going to be in communication with you the whole time, as well as us.
And then closing.
Then we meet you there.
We're a homeowner.
You get the keys.
Closing is the happiest day for everybody.
Well, we do a final walkthrough the day before, and then we do the closing the next day. Yeah.
So that's where everybody gets paid. And
when you get the keys to your house is the most important.
So
yeah,
most important. Everybody's getting most important.
Yeah, transfer of ownership takes place.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So it's a big day for everybody.
Yeah.
That's it. So that's the Yellow Brick Road to home ownership.
Very simple. Mm-hmm. It's finding that house and starting the process.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get some help starting your process or you just have some questions, you can reach out any point in time. So the number is always on the screen. Call us or text on that number.
Yeah, 405-467-1785. Jody at teamtitlerealty.com is my email. So, yeah, love to help you.
Yeah, you can find us on teamtitlerealty.com any point in time. If you know of somebody that's looking or talking or having this conversation with, or you hear them over, or you're at the water cooler, or maybe you're, which is what you used on me earlier today, Budinsky. Yeah. Right. Yeah, maybe you're a Budinsky.
Yeah. I never knew that term before.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Till I taught you?
Till you taught.
I didn't know it either until I got to work in the government.
Right.
And they're like, so I'm like, what are y'all talking about? And he's like, Budinsky? I'm like, what?
Right.
What does that mean? He goes, you're butting in.
Yeah.
This isn't your conversation.
That's right. I had no idea what that meant. So.
And there would be a guy that he would eavesdrop. So there was this guy, his name's Tim. So Tim would eavesdrop into these conversations just down the hall a little bit every time. And then he would just, somewhere in the middle, just come in there and just start bogarting the conversation, just giving his 2 cents about whatever. And so that's really how the term got going, at least in our office, as far as the group goes. Because he was like the premier King Budinsker.
Who knew? We don't use that term in Canada.
Yeah, Budinski.
Never heard of it.
So there you go. I don't know if you Google it. I don't know if it exists. I never bothered, but that's just a funny term we use.
So if you found this helpful, or you know somebody that is looking, by all means, share the video with them.
Yeah.
Let them know to reach out to us. Love to help them.
Yep, and all the videos that we've done on this, they're all categorized with different topics. And a lot of the stuff, it doesn't age. In other words, that the topics that are of importance,
right?
They're not anchored to a timeline in space and time. They're more helpful to kind of give you background on how the processes work.
For knowledge.
Or what to look for. Yeah, so they're all knowledge-based archive in the video section, both on YouTube and on Facebook as well.
That's right.
And that's it for us.
That's it.
Yeah, thanks again for the questions or the comments there, Evan. And for those of you folks that do want to reach out later, feel free to do so at any point in time. You can send us a DM on Facebook. And, of course, the phone number is on the screen, and so is the website.
Yeah.
And we'll see you on the next broadcast.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Okay, take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.